everyone. This is Sarah Berman with Practically Writing, and today we are going to be talking about anthologies, the pros and cons of being in them. Before we get too far into this, I have a few announcements that I'm going to be making at the end of the video, so stick around and check those out. What could it be? So nerve-wracking. As most of you know, I've been in a lot of anthologies. 3 anthologies in the last year alone, with another 3 planned for this year. So far. It's only January. So it's safe to say that I have jumped on the anthology gravy train and ridden it. But why? Why would I do such a thing? Silly, silly Sarah, why would you do that? I don't know. Let's start with the cons. Anthologies tend to be groups of stories that revolve around some sort of common theme. Now, that common theme can be very broad, such as summer romances, or it can be very narrow, such as twisted fairy tale romances. Because the themes are chosen, you have a lot less creativity in terms of what stories you're going to write. Additionally, anthologies tend to have very specific word counts. So if you happen to be an overwriter who likes to put many, many, many words on the page, this can be a lot more difficult than your normal writing routine. Anthologies also have deadlines, and they vary from extremely strict to pretty lax. Generally, if you are doing an anthology with a group of people who are already pretty familiar with each other, the deadlines are probably going to be a little more relaxed than if you decide to get into an anthology with a lot of strangers and, well, for lack of a better term, people who are a little more hardcore. These are the people who have decided already when their book is coming out, and that is written in stone as far as they are concerned. So make sure that if you are interested in anthology, that you find out the details before you commit. This is very important. Well, that doesn't sound very fun. Why would you want to be in an anthology then? Well, the deadlines, the theme, and the word count can all be challenges. They make you a better writer. You have to write a complete story within a certain word count. You have to write slightly outside your normal parameters of what you write. I like fantasy. Writing a romance was very different. You know, these things really challenged me. While trying to project my own style and voice into a story that was very much mine, I had to stay in this very specific niche to fit the anthology. Deadlines were... Now, deadlines are challenging always, but when somebody else is insisting on a deadline, as opposed to you setting your own deadlines, that is a whole nother ball of wax. It is extremely challenging to get that done. But it does make you a better writer to be able to do that. To be able to take an idea such as Peruvian llamas. Story about Peruvian llamas. Okay, but you usually write fantasy. Maybe they fly. I mean, how do you make a story that fits into this theme your own? It is a creative challenge, and one that I fully encourage everyone to do. So what? Challenges. I can do that with writing prompts. Why would I need to be in an anthology? What does it do for me as an author? So to answer that question, I have to approach it not as an author, but as a reader of anthologies. When I was just a young lass, okay, I wasn't that young, about 10 years ago or so, I moved to a small town and was very, very bored. It was before I had actually gotten the guts to do the whole publishing thing and everything. So, I was still kind of putzing around with the writing and things. But I read maniacally. And I would find these authors who had these wonderful series. And so I would read all of the books in the series. And then I discovered that some of them had short stories from these series in anthologies. So I'd get those because I wanted to read their stuff. If you get an anthology, you don't get it just to read the one story usually. You actually read the other stories. And because of that, I would find other authors. And I'd be like, this is a really good story. Do they have more? And so I would expand my addiction by reading these other authors who just happened to be in anthologies with this original author that I got addicted to. It was amazing. The point is, other authors have their own followings, and they are going to bring those followings into this anthology. And those people who follow these other authors could very well read your story. And if they like it, they will find other things that you have written. Hey! Aha! We get it now! That's the thing. You're expanding your readership by connecting yourself to these other writers and connecting other writers to your readers. There are different ways that anthologies work. 2 of the anthologies that I was in last year were charity anthologies, so all proceeds went to a charity. That's fine, though one anthology that I was in that was not a charity anthology, I do get royalties for. And I have actually had a few people tell me that the reason that they started reading my books was because they came in through this anthology that they were encouraged to read either through the publisher or these other writers that were in this anthology. It is a viciously awesome cycle of happy joy sharing of audience. Totally worth it, in my opinion. So once you decide to join an anthology, what should you be keeping an eye out for? Well, the first thing is look for anthologies. The best way to do this is to get into writing groups. These writing support groups are really great ways for people to promote anthologies that they're trying to get out. Find people who have done anthologies before and see if they are doing any more, because anthologies tend to be a little addicting. People who have done anthologies like to do more anthologies. When you find people who have done a really good anthology, ask them, are you doing another one? Do you have any leads for me? I'm interested in doing this. Help me out. They will, okay? Because usually the better anthologies are the ones that have many more authors to choose from. Authors want more authors interested in the anthologies that they're going to be in. So you want to be in an anthology. Yay! Okay, so first things first. Make sure that there are a few things that are very clear up front. The deadline. You have to know when your story is due. Otherwise, you can't plan around it. I mean, that's just how that is. Number 2, the theme. While I do strongly recommend straining your creative juices by writing outside of your normal genres and themes, if it's too far outside, it's probably just not going to be a good fit. There is an anthology that I was very interested in until I realized that it was all based on the Vampire Diaries universe. I don't watch Vampire Diaries. I could try to write a story, but I don't know enough about that situation. It would be the same if I was writing a straight Western. That's not my genre. It's not anywhere close to my genre. It's just not something that I would be able to pull off. And I know this. So I steer towards anthologies that have themes that I can at least work with. It's a fine line. Be aware of who is publishing the anthology, who is in charge of the anthology, if you need to have your story edited personally, or if they are taking care of that within the anthology team, what kind of contractual agreement you're dealing with. You want to be very clear as to what kind of compensation you're getting for this anthology, if any. And finally, you want to be very clear as to when your story is no longer contractually locked into that anthology. Most of the anthologies that I have been in have had a 90-day period where I could not publish that story anywhere else. After 90 days, I can totally publish it, which is great because I use short stories like that for Insta freebies, for giveaways, for all kinds of things, and I can compile them into my own anthology, my sort of collection of Sarah's shorts. Those are all extremely important things to consider for an anthology. I'd say the biggest advantage, though, for an anthology is the camaraderie that you get from being involved with a project with other authors, especially other authors who may write very similar to what you write. You end up helping out each other, you end up networking with each other, you end up supporting each other. It's very nice. This is not universally the case, just so you know. I have heard horror stories of people who've been involved in anthologies that, there was a lot of control issues, things like that. So make sure that you're very clear as to what your own red flags are in regards to an anthology. If there are any questions I have not addressed, please leave them in the comment section below. I will get to them, I promise. And now for announcements. As you may have known, I have been working on the novella His Precious Undoing, which is the sequel to the novella Her Favorite Mistake, under the Lena Grace pen name. The cover reveal for that will be January 30th. This is a semi-firm date, so look for it there. Most of our events will be on Facebook, so follow me on Facebook. I will be announcing things through my Patreon account, so follow me on Patreon. Links are all below. And I will be having giveaway specials for the release of this, which should be right around Valentine's Day. I am also going to be making some major revisions to how I run my street teams, including a lot more engagement for you. If you are interested in that, I am putting the links to my street team below, and you can join the group, keep in touch, and look for the announcements for what is going on there. It is going to involve prizes. Oh yeah. I think that's all we have for today. Don't forget to follow me everywhere. Like, ring the bell, etc., etc. You don't want to miss these things, right? And we'll see you next time. It's a surprise! Yay, V-Day! Yay, V-Day! That's how it works. Because you, the author, you made it.